Hey, greetings. Welcome back to Sean's Irish Whiskey Shelf, coming at you from the heart of the United States, out here in the Midwest, where winter has definitely shown up with a vengeance. Down in single digits last night. I'm ready for summer. So, first thing I want to do, as always, give a shout out to my favorite online retailer, Hard to Find Whiskey. You can find them right there. Check them out, see what they've got. Hopefully they have something that you're looking for. They always have something I'm looking for. I just have to make sure I don't get my wife all upset when I get what I'm really looking for. So check them out, see what they've got. And what I have for you this evening is this kind of morphed out of control a little bit. And let me explain. So the last video we did, of course, was Tullamore Dew and Bushmills. I mentioned that those were the single malts that they had were aged single malts that were at a reasonable price. Well, I was looking over the list of whiskeys that I have. I keep a spreadsheet, and I came to realize that Napogue Castle 16 we've never looked at together. I've had it on the shelf for quite some time, and we have never had a drop of this whiskey together. So I decided that, well, maybe this evening, since we were doing single malt whiskey, that, okay, let's pull down the Napogue 16 and we'll taste it together. So looking at the makeup, how they mature and finish Napogue Castle 16, they finish it in Oloroso sherry butts. Doesn't that sound familiar from last week? Bushmills 12, Oloroso sherry butts? Well, even though this is aged for 4 more years, we have the same process here, where we're doing bourbon and then Oloroso sherry. Okay, so the problem there, though, is that the price of a bottle of Napogue Castle 16 is not in line with Bushmills 12. Remember, I said you should be able to find this for the $75, $80 range. Napogue Castle 16, see, that's going to run you probably around $100. So price-wise, they're not quite the same. The Napogue Castle 12 is the same, though. As I was looking at prices and making sure I remembered what I paid for these, the Napogue Castle 12 is right there in that 75, 80, maybe 85 at the most range, which is the same as the Bushmills 12, but it's not finished the same way. This is finished more like the Tullamore Dew. So I struggled with this. I really did, folks. I was like, how am I going to pull this off? Because I really want to give you a comparison of the single malts that are in the same price range, but then that's not really fair because they're finished differently. But if I compare the two that are finished the same way, then you've got a price discrepancy, and one of them we've never even tried together before. So, you know what? We're going to try all three, okay? We're going to do all three. We're going to see how they taste, because why not? Remember what I tell you at the end of every episode. Any reason to have a drop of Irish whiskey is a good reason, a great reason, actually. This is a reason. So let's tear into this. All right, first off, Bushmills, 12-year-old, single malt whiskey. Looked at it on the last video. If you want to know a little bit more about it, watch the last video. I will tell you that it is 80 proof. Make sure that I'm not speaking incorrectly there, but yes, 80 proof. Oloroso sherry and bourbon casks, and it's finished in Marsala casks, but you do have the bourbon and the Oloroso sherry. So let's refamiliarize with the Bushmills 12. And that is exactly exactly as I remember it. Very good drop of single malt whiskey for someone who's not a really big single malt fan, but I don't know, he might be turning into a little bit more of a single malt fan as time goes on. So, all right, Bushmills. Again, $75, $80 range. You want to get into some really good single malt whiskey, aged single malt whiskey for a fair price. There you go. But remember, you could also do that with the Napogue Castle. The Napogue Castle 12-year is right about that same age period and that same price. Well, it's not right about, it is the same age period, 12-year, but right about that same price. So, could you consider Napogue Castle as an entry-level single malt? And remember that Napogue Castle comes from the powerhouse of Middleton Distillery, where they've got an awful lot of knowledge and experience when it comes to distilling whiskey. Napogue Castle, actually Napogue stands for Hill of the, or translates to Hill of the Kiss, and they're extraordinarily proud of their whiskey. As I recall, when we've had it before, it was a pretty fine drop of whiskey. So let's, I think it's a little bit higher proof. I think it is 86 proof. And yeah, malted barley, single malt, bourbon casks for 12 years. And that is all. This is just bourbon cask. So there is no Oloroso sherry, there is no Marsala, there's no port, there's nothing like that. This is just bourbon cask matured. And you know what, folks, you can, before I taste it, you can kind of see a little bit. Let me slide these out. You can probably see in the bottle. These two that have had that sherry and Marsala finish, you can see that they're a little bit darker than what I have with Napogue 12. So just that right there should tell you that you're going to get a bit of a different flavor profile without even tasting it. So here we go. Napogue Castle 12, bourbon cask finished. That's it. So I definitely get a bit of a sweeter note in the Bushmills than the Napogue Castle 12. Because it's only been finished in bourbon casks, you're not going to get a whole lot of complex flavors like you will in the Bushmills 12. But I can tell you this. This tastes, and boy, again, this just pains me to say it, but this is a better drop of whiskey than the Tullamore Dew was. It is more flavorful. It's not as objectionable. I would take this over the the Tullamore Dew. I still like what the Bushmills whiskey brings to the table. For someone who's not a huge single malt fan, having that little bit extra in there, that Oloroso sherry, that Marsala, giving it that sweetness, it gives it more complexity, it makes it more interesting, and it's just nicer on the palate. Let's just call it what it is. It's just more flavorful on the palate. So I like this. I think for a single malt whiskey, without anything special done to it, that's a really fine drop of whiskey. I think what you're going to come down to now, if you look at the Napogue Castle 12, the Bushmills 12, the Tullamore Dew 14, since they're all in the same price range, I think it's going to depend on what you are really looking for out of your single malt. Do you want a sweeter one? Do you want a more traditional single malt? If you want the sweeter, you want the Bushmills. If you want more traditional, you want the Napogue Castle. All right, so let's go back to a single malt that is finished in Oloroso sherry again. You're looking at the Napogue Castle 16. A little bit more expensive than these two. But you are finished in the Oloroso sherry. They don't do anything with the Marsala wine like you'd find in the Bushmills. But this is also 86 proof. And I don't think I have anything else to add here. They do say 21 months. Yeah, 14 years in bourbon barrels, and then 21 months in Oloroso sherry casks. So that's how they mature and finish this one. So let's give Napogue Castle 16 a try. And again, this is the first time we've tried it together. So see what we get. So, I don't know. It's definitely, all right, let's get one thing straight. It's definitely got a more complex flavor than the 12. But I'm thinking that the Madeira finish over here in the Bushmills just gives this a little bit extra oomph, a little extra push of complexity. This one I can tell is definitely, it's got more body, it's got more complexity. I mean, that's the only way I can say it, than the 12. Very standard, very straight up single malt whiskey. Very standard, straight up single malt whiskey with some Oloroso sherry notes in there. But man, you do that with this Bushmills, and then you throw the Marsala in. All right, we're going to taste both of these here. Because I think for the money and my blue collar palate, I think I might still want to spend my money on the Bushmills before the Napogue. And that doesn't say that the Napogue is bad. Because as I've mentioned before on several videos, just because I might like this one better doesn't mean that I won't buy this or I won't drink this. What it does mean is if I have a choice and I can only buy one, then I'm going to make that decision. But here we go. Bushmills. Okay. Napogue Castle. It's really not a competition. Bushmills. The flavor profile in this is just a wee bit more harsh and less complex than the Bushmills for $25 more or thereabouts. So while I think that Middleton has some pretty darn good single malt whiskey right here in their Napogue Castle line, and I'm missing their 14 year. Apparently their 14 year is a limited release and I have not seen it. So when I do see it, I'm probably going to jump on it. The only other Napogue Castle that I know of is their 1951 series, which is extraordinarily hard to find. And you probably won't see that on my shelf unless I win Powerball. So if that's the case, then we'll get that. You know, we might get the Middleton Silent Distillery, which is, you know, a 5-digit. Heck, we might buy the whole Middleton Very Rare line. Yeah, but I just think these two, for as good as they are, still can't hold a candle to the Bushmills for this palate. Your palate might be different, and it's just my opinion. Your opinion could be totally different than mine, in which case, that's fine. That's why we all enjoy our whiskey. Okay? But that's what I find. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you got something out of it. I certainly did. Every time I do this, I get something out of it. And as always, I love doing this. I love sharing whiskey with you guys. I wish you were all here. We'd share some whiskey together. If you did like it, hey, take a second, go down there, click the like button. It means an awful lot to me. And if you want to be notified when I do another video, which should be next week, I try to do one per week, go down in the other corner down there, click on the subscribe button, and you can click on the bell after that, and you'll be notified when I do a new video. So until we meet again, I want you to enjoy your Irish whiskey, because like I said at the top of the show, any reason to have a drop of Irish whiskey is a great reason. But please do it responsibly so you can be here next week. I am hoping that next week I will have 2 new bottles of whiskey on the shelf. One is replacing a bottle that I lost in the Great Irish Whiskey Disaster of 2021. The other one will be one that I've never had before, but it's kind of near and dear to my heart, and you'll see why when we finally get to drink it together. So until that time, please be well and be safe. Sláinte. Bye now.